Welcome in, fans. What a great game. What a great game. And welcome into the Two Line Pass podcast post-game show. Your Utah Hockey Club defeats the New York Rangers in overtime, 6-5. Clayton Keller with the game-winning goal. Boys, 3-0. How are we feeling?
We have surpassed all of our wildest expectations. You two went over your game by game for the first couple of weeks. Neither one of you had them 3-0. We've surpassed even Randon's self-admitted loftiest predictions. The top of the world, this is going great predictions of Randon. Surpassed those already. It's amazing.
I am also feeling very, very good tonight. I think I'm going to be chasing this high for quite a while, arguing with Ranger fans online the whole game. Then all of a sudden, they don't know how to talk. Kind of crazy. But yeah, the boys look pretty good. And yeah, I did not have us winning this game before the actual game started. I was prepared to take Utah's first loss. But apparently, what the fuck do I know? Nothing, because look at us go.
I mean, I had this one also chalked up to a loss. I mean, you're playing the great team in the East, one of the best teams in the East, at home in a very tough environment, right? Madison Square Garden is a much tougher environment than Long Island. So I think you're doing good things when you take two New York teams, both to overtime. You score in dramatic fashion to win both, and you go 3-0. It's just incredible. But let's break down the game. For those of you who did not see it, welcome in, by the way. But Utah gets off to an early 1-0 lead. Barrett Hayton getting his third of the year, assisted by Keller and Schmaltz. And Barrett Hayton, guys, I take back any negative thing I ever said about him. He's got the makings of a first-line center for sure. But Artemi Panarin ties it up quickly, making it a 1-1 game. Then we go into the second period where Jack McBain and Dustin, I couldn't get enough of the Simpsons McBain ice to meet you. I mean, it was just mwah. But Jack McBain gets it up 2-0 or 2-1, 2-1. But then Artemi Panarin ties it up 2-2 with the power play. And then Utah kind of puts their foot on the gas. Clayton Keller, followed by Kevin Stenlund, makes it a 4-2 Utah game. And then in the flukiest goal of the year, and probably his only goal of the year, Keandre Miller of New York scored a goal that was just the weirdest bounce, where it looked like he was just going to dump it in, and it kicks off of the boards, and Ingram goes around to play the puck, but it bounces so awkwardly and goes right in. It was just the most fluky goal. You won't see that very often. And New York's within one. But then, not but 5 minutes later, Dylan Guenther with his league-leading 5th of the year puts Utah back up by 2. Braden Schneider for New York ties it up about 5 minutes later again, shortly before the end of the second period, to make it 5-4 Utah going into the third. And then the only goal in the third was just after the midway mark, and New York ties it up. So Utah going into overtime for a second straight game. And then who else but Clayton Keller gets the goal in what I can't explain to you what the New York defense was doing. They left Clayton Keller alone to wrap the puck around. And of course, he's going to backhand and beat Shesterkin. You know, he's going to beat every goalie with that. And then Utah comes away with the win, and they are 3-0. Dustin, Ryan, whoever wants to go first, did you have any highlights, anything stick out to you after that great third in a row win by Utah?
So you mentioned that New York just left him alone behind the net for that wraparound. It wasn't even like just a wraparound, because that's just like you come around the pipe and try to sneak it in behind the pad. He had enough time to get himself in front of the net and go top shelf to the back corner of that net. Like, I have no idea what New York was doing. It's almost like they were doing Utah a favor. Like, I wanted to just call some attention to what gracious visitors Utah has been so far this year. Like, yeah, they're going to come into your barn and they're going to beat you, but they'll let you take it to overtime so you can get your point. Like, yeah, we'll give you a point. We're going to take the win. We're going to take our 2 points. But seeing as how you're the host here, we're in your barn. we'll allow you to take us to overtime and get you your point. But they just, it's almost like New York just returned that favor. They're just like, all right, Color, like just go top shelf, stick side, and just stick it up there. Like they almost conceded that goal. So it's amazing. The thing I hate, and this is kind of in an opposite direction, but just a rule that I dislike. I hate that you get an automatic game misconduct for starting a second fight off of one that's already going. Like, let them fight. Let them fight. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
It should be that if you're the fourth fight, then it's a game misconduct. But you can have 3 going simultaneously, no additional punishment. Everybody gets 5 minutes for fighting, and that's it. But if you're the fourth one, because if they say that it's so that there's no line brawls, well, two tanglements isn't a line brawl. Let them go. God, the NHL is so stupid for trying to eliminate fighting. If you want to eliminate fighting, just don't have players fight, right? But they know it's part of hockey, and the fans love it. But of course, the NHL, haters of fun, and this is why we boo the commissioner. Okay, if you ever see him, you don't cheer for him. He didn't do us any favors. He's running his league into the ground. But he gave us, well, he didn't give us Utah. He let us buy Utah, and so we love him for it. But Ryan, what are your big takeaways from the game?
So Dylan Gunther, Mr. Don't Take My Gunthers, scores his league-leading fifth goal. Fifth goal. He is just give him the heart. I've seen enough. Not going to say he's going to win the Rocket Richard because you got guys like Austin Matthews, but he's the best player on our team, and he's the most important player on our team right now, and he's playing dominant hockey. Just give him the heart. He deserves it. And the hats-off performance of the game for me will be to Alex Kerfoot with an amazing play on the forecheck, steals the puck back around the board pass to set up Clayton Keller for the goal. That was a beautiful play. Connor Ingram felt a little kind of, you know what I mean? He didn't seem 100%, but hey, that could just be, shake it off. The boards took a weird bounce there, I think. And we also had a weird bounce in Long Island that almost went to a goal. Maybe the NHL needs to look into the boards in New York, see something fishy going on out there. Just my opinion. But yeah, it was a good win. Feeling really good. It was good to keep the confidence going on that win. And I think the only complaint I have with the fighting, with the game misconduct, is they didn't know the other two had already started a fight. They threw their gloves and ran off to be like, we need some space. How did they know it was going to happen? They were too busy pushing each other, and fights kind of happen. Now, if you're like watching a fight and then you and another dude decide to throw down, okay, give them the game. You know what I mean? Give them a game misconduct. That's fine. But that was just a hockey play. That's all that was. I don't, but hey, we still took it. We'll still take the 2 points. And I'm excited to see what the team learns from tonight that we can help build on for our next game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what was said, because the way they dropped the gloves, like it almost seemed personal. But
did you see the thumbs up from Kesselring? When they both looked at him, he was like, all right, good job, man. Thank you. Good fight. You got me. He was like, you got me. Good job. I thought that was cool. Little sign of respect from the players. So, maybe that fight wasn't personal. I think they were just like,
yeah, no, it was a fun thing. It's always fun to get guys involved in that. And I think there's, like we talked about, a mutual respect between the players. Like, they understand that fighting's part of a game, that most of the time it's nothing personal. And then you get some truly personal fights. But most of the time it's just you sticking up for your guy, something said, threw a wrong body check at the wrong time. Somebody said something about somebody's mom. What can you do? But showing some respect after a nice tilt from a fighting line from New York. That's their bruisers line. And in Utah's, answering the bell. They're not going to stand down, even if they're giving up a few inches on those fights. Obviously, Liam O'Brien, another scratch for Carcone coming in for him. So you're not going to have your main fighter in that lineup, but it's good to see other guys step up and protect the team, stand up for themselves, and just set a tone, right? And say, hey, we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to let you do this to us. And that's what you love to see. Yeah, Dylan.
I wish the team would have got a little bit feistier after Ingram got checked. Because if you guys remember, the same thing happened to Ryan Miller in Buffalo when Lucic ran him over. None of the Sabres did anything to kind of stand up for him. And Ryan Miller lost all confidence in that team and was like, you guys don't have my back. Why should I have yours? I don't think that's what's going to happen with Ingram. He didn't seem too shaken up or that bad of a play. But I do wish, you see your goalie get hit, man, throw the gloves, drop your stick, just get in there and just grab somebody immediately. Just tackle him. What's the worst they're going to do? You're going to get 2 for charging and a rough. But defend your goalie a little bit more. That was my only real takeaway from the negative side.
Dustin, you posted this on Twitter. It was funny if you watch. So Ingram gets trucked. It wasn't just incident of contact. I mean, extension, full-on extension from New York. But then he still makes the save in what was an otherwise completely open net. And so that was Ingram's kind of game in a nutshell, where Ingram made some saves he probably had no business making, and then probably would have liked some back. Obviously, that fluke goal, nothing Ingram can do. But there were two of the other 4 goals that I think Ingram is probably, those are ones that we're going to expect him to make. He maybe kind of found himself out of position a few times. The goaltender interference, obviously, I'll take it. I'm happy that their goal was waved off. I didn't see enough contact. There was actually later in the game, not the hit that was called, but there was another instance where New York absolutely interfered with him that wasn't called at all. And so I don't know. Obviously, we benefited from the no-goal call, but personally, from my perspective, I thought that goal was going to count. I thought they were going to overturn it. And it ultimately leads to the 4-on-4 goal, which I almost thought the Utah went right into the box. I thought that may have been like a little makeup call type thing, but I don't know if you believe in makeup calls or not, guys. But I think there's some element of that refs maybe do subconsciously try to even things out if they feel like they made a bad call, but they didn't seem. I mean, they called it on the ice, no goal. They upheld it, so they seem to have agreed with it, that they wouldn't need to call a makeup call. But yeah, some uneven play from Ingram and some inconsistencies from the ref. Otherwise, a great officiated game. Penalty kill played well enough. Our power play played well enough. I mean, just a good overall, a good solid, amazing win at a good, solid, amazing team. New York is a good team. They just crushed the Penguins, who admittedly aren't a great team, but they just crushed them 6-0. Shesterkin had a 31 save shutout, right? This is a great team. The Utah went in and beat them. And just in case you guys didn't see that fun fact, this year, Utah is now 3-0 in home openers. 3-0. So lesson learned, don't schedule Utah early in the season. Don't schedule us in the middle of the season. Don't schedule us at the end of the season, because you're just going to lose. You're going to lose and you're going to lose. Because at this point, I don't know what losing feels like, guys. I don't know what it feels like, and I don't want to know.
Like you said, there's a lot of really good things to take away from this game. But there were some mistakes, some small like negative takeaways, some things that the team and a coach may need to work on. One small thing might be like the first glaring coaching error. You two said in the Islanders post game that Spicy Tuna was not in the lineup card against them because it just wasn't a good matchup. But they probably want him for this game, because they do have a quote unquote goon line that you probably want him in there to protect your top line stars for, and he wasn't there. And like you pointed out, Brandon, like you wanted him there. So maybe a small little coaching error. I kind of get a mixed bag from Ingram tonight. He did make a couple of really good saves, and like you mentioned, probably 2 that he wants back. 2 shots that were like there was no traffic in front of him. He had a clear line of sight to the shooter. He probably wants those back. One of them, I believe, was set up by, I believe it was Carcone, who just pressed a little bit too close to the blue line and let his man alone. And then on the other one, I think it was the second of those 2 goals, Sergachev just seemed content to hang out by Ingram and did not pressure the puck at all. and gave a wide open shot on net right there. Which, granted, I don't know the X's and O's of the game very well, but I feel like Zerg probably should have pressed up and pressured that puck and not just given his man all the time to set up that shot. But other than that, I think it was a well played game. Obviously, you go on the road, you win one, take 2 points. So overall, good. But I did have a couple of negative takeaways, something for them to work on. Like, am I off base with those, or does that sound like some good takeaways?
Yeah, no, I don't think you're way off base there at all, and I think it's just going to be one of those things that in terms of like let's take the Liam O'Brien thing first. Like, obviously, Carconi is one of those guys that I thought played phenomenally in the preseason, and I think he's more offensively talented than Liam O'Brien. And maybe I'm going to lose the on penalty minutes for Liam O'Brien. I need him to be on the ice, throwing punches, getting 5-minute major. Well, not maybe majors, but 5 minute for fighting. Because I picked him for 160. He's not going to get anywhere close to that. And I think that's Tyranny's. The coaches trying to have a disciplined team. Not saying that Liam O'Brien's an undisciplined player. We applauded his discipline in game one, but obviously, I think maybe for the Rangers, they saw a person like Matt Rempe, who traditionally has the ability to get under people's skins and who seems to be somebody that other enforcers want to fight regularly, like almost as if it's a rite of passage for them to try to fight him and put him in his place or whatever. He's a young, very talented player. And maybe it was just not the right time for Liam O'Brien, and they did, the coach didn't want that style of game to happen. He still got 2 fights. What can you do there? But yeah, obviously, that's why they coach the big bucks, and that's why they pay us the peanuts and to make those decisions. But yeah, nothing wrong with your takes there.
I was going to say, I think O'Brien didn't play in these 2 games, basically because they're better teams and we needed that more of an offensive push. And not that O'Brien can't give us offense, but he's not needed. You know what I mean? That's not his whole role. And the guys have been proven that they could stick up for themselves without him. So something's changed. So they're doing a lot better on that. But I would expect to see him back in either New Jersey or Boston.
Yep, those are the next 2 games. The road show continues. We play against New Jersey and then against Boston, games that we had predicted to split. But now I think 5-0 is not out of the question, but we'll see. But a couple of fun things too to note. So we already talked about Dylan Guenther has his league leading 5th goal, right? So the Utah Hockey Club, obviously the league leading Utah Hockey Club, Central Division leaders, Western Conference leaders, and they have the most goals in the league through 3 games at 16. So the offensive output of this team is just so exciting and fun to watch. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good hard-nosed 1-0, 2-1 win. But man, seeing these 6-5, 6-5, or 5-4, 5-2, just hyper the last 2 games in New York, obviously going to overtime, and just the hype level, like, it's been fun to watch this team. And I think we talk about like things like, how else could you possibly have a more hype season than this start, right? This start is the most hype it could possibly be. You have an incredible raucous crowd for the home opener to start the season on ESPN. Then you go to New York to play back-to-back New York teams, going to overtime both at their home openers both, and you win in incredible, amazing, exciting fashion with some very young, talented players who are going to be marketable stars in the NHL's offensive desire. And you couldn't script it any better for Utah to start this season. It's just been so much fun. But also, big shout out to Logan Cooley, again playing defensively sound hockey once again, but also he's one behind Jack Eichel in the assists category, or he's either tied in assists. But Logan Cooley with 5 assists, my boy Nick Schmaltz with 4 in the top 10 for assists. So just a lot of, obviously small sample size, but a lot of people up on the big boards for goals and assists. And Ingram's Goaltenders' numbers aren't going to be good, but guess what? The only one that really matters is the 3 in the win column. Well, guys, once again, it's an exciting game tonight. A 6-5 overtime win for your Utah Hockey Club. And I have to make a correction because we have the game against New Jersey on Monday. Now, that's an afternoon, morning for us. That's a 11 a.m. Mountain Time game. It's Columbus Day, so hopefully you guys have the day off. But that one's a 1 p.m. Eastern Time game against the New Jersey Devils. And then we actually are at Anaheim on Wednesday and then home against Boston. So I skipped over the Ducks because I forgot that they were even a team. I kid. And then we play Boston. So 3 big games coming up. Remember, after morning game on Monday. Guys, any closing thoughts for this exciting 6-5 victory against the Rangers?
Enjoy the ride. This is a great start to the season, and it has been fun as hell. Take it all in and listen to us after every freaking game.
Dylan, don't take my Gunthers is coming for the Hart Trophy, and Connor Ingram, need to get your head back in the game a little bit, buddy. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys.
Ryan, Dustin, thank you so much for joining me on the Two Line Pass podcast post-game show for your Utah Hockey Club. 6-5 overtime victory against the New York Rangers. They are now 3-0 on this season, leading the Central Division, the Western Conference, and the league. Guys, we will see you on Monday for the post-game show and then our regularly scheduled episode next week as well. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Go Utah Hockey Club, and we'll see you next time.